Hello everybody and welcome back to the multiplayer project, where today is a maintenance day. And so you know what that means, live programming, and we are going to be working on some of these to-dos here. So the first one that I want to tackle here is I want to tackle checking for client timeout. So that will of course be done in the server, and we will just hop over here, and it's right here in this check for timeout that we already wrote a really long time ago. And that is actually called up here in this timer checkout timer. Every second it will just go through our list of sessions and check to see if they have timed out or not. So let's just go ahead and implement that quick. For int I equals 0, I is less than sessions.count I++, so that'll just iterate through the entire sessions list. Then we'll check to see if, let's see, we want to do the bigger one first, which will always be datetime.now minus sessions.last, actually, sessions I.last message, and that should be a datetime. Yes, so this will create a time span, this subtraction here. And so we just need to put that in parentheses and do dot total seconds, if I'm remembering correctly, is greater than timeout. Does that compile? Kind of. Sessions does not take an integer though, it takes an IP endpoint. Right. So instead, we are going to do a for each here, I guess. For each IP endpoint IP in sessions, then we're going to do sessions IP dot last message. Cannot convert key value pair, of course. Okay. This is going to be for each key value pair. And this is going to be IP endpoint and session. And we'll just call that session in sessions. And then we'll do session.key. Actually, we don't even have to look it up that way. We can just do session.value.last message. Like that. Without 3 S's, only 2 S's. There we go. So if datetime.now is minus session.value.lastMessage.total seconds is greater than, let's actually make this or equal to timeout. Then we want to send in a message types.dsc. We want to send them a disconnect message. They've been idle too long. They are being disconnected. Excellent. And then we send that, and we send that to session.value.address. And then we need to simply remove them from our sessions list. So sessions.remove. And this takes in a key value pair, I believe. I did 3 S's again for some reason. This takes in IP endpoint key. Okay, session.key. Wonderful. Okay, so that is our check for timeout, and if we set our timeout to be, say, something along the lines of, instead of 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes, let's just set this instead to be 15 seconds. Temporarily. Temporarily. We will change this, but I want to just test that this works. So we'll fire up the client. We may actually hit the timeout here during the handshake, which is awkward. Hopefully we don't. Handshake hasn't finished yet. I mean, it is sending packets back and forth now and then during the handshake, right? So that every time it receives a packet, that'll refresh it. Come on, handshake. No, seriously, come on, handshake. Yep. The handshake took too long. We timed out there. Well, we know it works. So we're going to bring this back to 300. We weren't able to log in, but we timed out because of the encryption handshake taking too long. So we now can confirm that that does indeed work, which means we can get rid of that off of the list. Wonderful. Now, character appearance messages, I do want to change this syntax. So let's hop over to the server here. And where do we do that? Is that under entity? Actually, I believe that is... or not session. When we're requesting a character appearance change... let's see, where do we do this? Requesting character creation, CHC. The server doesn't really do much with that, right? It just grabs it, stores it, and replaces it. So, let's see here. CHC is... this is a CMD. Need to minimize some of these so that we can actually look through them here. Here's CHC. Okay. So this takes in a character appearance here. And it splits it all off, blah, blah, blah. I think we mostly need to go into the client here and check under characters, character appearance. Character stats is here as well. How is that set up? Character stats is actually set up literally the same way, including with character appearance here. We're going to change that to care stats. And we are going to get rid of the square brackets here. And instead we're going to append at the end a comma. And then we'll do the change that we did in entity. If we can go into representation, entity here. And we can grab... is it not in here? Apparently it was not in here. Wonderful. Okay, this is a new string builder anyway, so let's go ahead and make this be a public static read-only string builder SB equals new string builder. We'll make that static so that we don't have a new instance every time, and instead of doing a new instance here, we'll just do sb.clear. And at some point, we probably want to just make one string builder per thread. That's going to be easier to do on the server than the client, except... well, this doesn't have access. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting. Okay, so we're currently splitting this here. If it equals a char appearance from UDP message, if it equals a char update, update from UDP message. This needs to be overhauled. We're doing this substantially different and substantially better now. So we'll make this be a comma. We want this to instead simply be... because we can save a byte here. We want this to instead simply be commas. Like that. And char update, we don't need anything different from, right? So that's fine. We can get rid of update from UDP message. This is no longer necessary. Because we're going to implement this in much the same way. Char updates do not need to happen anymore. Okay, so we're just seeing what's happening here with this appearance option. Yeah, we store that. Yeah, this was just meant to be a little more flexible. Actually, yeah, let's keep the update system in place here because this is fine, mostly. But we want to trim off only the curly brace now. We don't care about the square brace because we're comma separating it. Okay. The representation manager, we don't care about that. Let's hop over to the server really fast here. And let's go into the entity here. And we'll just grab this little bit of code here to see if we end in a comma, and if so, delete it. And we will place that right here in character appearance. Similarly, in character stat, we'll do the same thing. We don't want to end with a trailing comma, so we'll get rid of that. So this is now, in theory, comma separated. And then when we do from UDP message here, we don't want to split on brackets anymore. Instead, we want to split on commas. And we will get rid of that bracket trim. Excellent. Recent edits, delete code. Do it. Thanks, IntelliSense. Okay, so we're splitting on commas now, and this should work just fine in theory for character stats. Let's double check for character appearance. It's with a comma. Cannot convert from char to string. Using system.link. Apparently not. Okay, that's an issue there. We'll come back to that in just a moment. So this is now comma separated, and I want to make sure that if we have any comments in here about it that we've updated that. Yes, we do. This should be comma separated. Wonderful. We are only trimming off that bracket there. This should be comma separated, and get rid of that. Wonderful. Okay, that should be all we need to do, except for fixing this ends with. So let's hop over to the channel MMO server and see what this is coming from. I think this is from system.link. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm wondering why system.link didn't make that work. Dot ends with. It doesn't accept a character. It accepts a string. Okay, string value, string value, string value. Okay, whatever. I guess we'll just do it in a string. That's fine. I don't know why it's wanting a string here, but whatever. No, we're not going to delete that. That's not going to happen in IntelliSense. Okay, now we need to fire up our DB browser here, and we need to open up the server here. So we'll open the containing folder. It opened on the other monitor, which is fine, but we'll just browse over to the database here, and we'll plop in the database, because we need to go into the characters here and update our character appearance here. Now, the inventory we're also going to have to do that for. So this would be a basic inventory and then a curly brace. And then this would be a closing curly brace. So we'll apply that. Let's see, anything else here? Nope, okay, so we're just going to have to get rid of the square brackets here. Replace them with a comma. Same thing here. And here. And here. And here. As well as here. And There. Okay. So we'll apply that. This is now shifted over to our more normal usage syntax. Wonderful. We're going to need to check on the server for when we create the character, because we're going to need to change that basic inventory. So in the server.cs, let's go to character creation message, which is the CHC, which is actually the one we were just in. And we're going to change our basic inventory here to be a curly brace, and then a curly brace. There we go. We'll just get those set up. And then let's also check, or rather double check in our database here, and see what this returns when we're getting various information from the server. I think this just gets the data, the query from the database, and the server is the one that puts together the response, generally speaking. So this is all fine. Excellent. Okay. So in theory, that should work. I do want to double check. Let's see, character appearance is the mono behavior. I want to check on the character creation screen, which is in character... Where do we hide that? The script for the character creation screen. You know what? I don't even know. Let's check. Character creation screen. This script is... Where exactly are you? You're under character select. Oh yeah, right there. Okay. Good to know. So we're just checking here to see if there's anything that would break that. That does not appear to be the case. Okay. So, let's just check in here in the character creation pane, inside of the scroll view, viewport, scroll view content. There's all of these collapsible elements. When these get toggled, let's see, collapsible element dot on click, and then these elements here, clickable object is collapsible element dot on click. That's all fine. We want in the object content here, character option holder dot on change selection. Right. So where is the character option holder here? Because we want to double check that that is also set up. 0 equals 1. That's all fine. On change option, we do the split. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Sounds good. Yep, that should be fine. Okay, so there should not be any issues with this. Unfortunately, there isn't really a great way to test it. I suppose we could fire up the server and create a new character. And just ensure that it gets put in properly into the database. And that the character appearance in the preview shows up correctly. So let's just go ahead and log in here as soon as the encryption handshake finally finishes. It's so variable. Sometimes it's a matter of milliseconds. Sometimes it finishes in like 2 minutes. It's insane. Although we might want to make a queue where we can hit this login button, but really, did I not change the timeout? I did. Interesting. We shouldn't have timed out there. System.debug, or rather, system. Yeah, it should be system.debug.log, or what? No, it's diagnostics. What am I even doing? Diagnostics.debug.writeLine, and we're going to write in session dot value plus timed out. Okay, so now we'll know if it actually times out from the server. Because that shouldn't have timed out in that amount of time. Unless we aren't setting last message. But we are. We're setting last message as soon as we process the message. Okay. So we'll fire up the server. And we'll run this. ASDF, ASDF. And as soon as the encryption handshake finishes, we are disconnected from the server. We hop over here. It did time us out. Okay, why is it timing us out here? If the time between datetime.now and session.value.lastMessage.total seconds is greater than or equal to timeout. Maybe I have this backwards. Minus datetime.now? I don't know, that wouldn't make much sense to me, but then again, I'm not always in the best frame of mind for this, so we'll see. Hopefully this will actually let us log in. Encryption handshake completed. Submitting. Requesting. Wonderful. We'll create a new character. This character name will be ASDFA. And we're just going to choose random things here. Okay. Something kind of like that. Okay. Here's ASDFA. And let's just check. We didn't see any errors. So in the character select screen, let's see here. We should have... Do we have a character preview here? Let's see, we've got our character. When we request the characters from the server, I'm not sure we do have a character preview here. Regardless, we can check to see if it worked in the database. So DB browser, and then put it in here. Characters. Okay. So it did not work. Not quite, anyway. So, I'm going to pull this over here, and we're going to investigate why that didn't quite send everything. Or at least why it didn't quite store everything. So when we grab this, we're splitting this on commas. Okay. Interesting. We grab the character name and the character appearance. Right. So let's see here. Character appearance is brought in message components 1. Which is currently... Right. This would not work because it would be this and then ... etc., 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 and then a closing curly brace. Because the message here, when we create it, when we send this from the client, the message that we send is namefield.text preview appearance.toUDP message. And then we send it in a send character creation message. We'll hop to that implementation here. And that sends it in the format of character name, comma, character appearance. So splitting this on the comma is not actually what we want to do. So what we want to do is we want to do int first comma equals message.index of the comma, and that'll give us our first comma. Then we can say string character name equals, that would be message.substring, and we want to take from 0 to the first comma, not including the first comma. So we want to do just first comma. Excellent. And then we can say string character appearance equals message.substring from first comma plus 1, because we don't want to include that comma, to the end of the string. Excellent. So that gets us our character appearance. That said, there might be an extra curly brace at the end here. We could check for that. If character appearance dot ends with, this will be a string, double curly brace, trim out the extra curly brace, and then we're just going to say character appearance equals character appearance dot substring from 0 to character appearance dot length minus 1. Okay, so that gets us our character name. Let's get rid of our message components here. And instead of using message components 0, this is now, of course, going to use character name. And then down here, same thing. Instead of message component 0, this will be character name. And then down here, instead of message components 1, this will be character appearance. Okay, so now this should work fine. Let's go ahead and delete this entry. And we'll try this again. Hopefully we don't have a compile error. No, we do not. Wonderful. We'll run this. Hopefully the encryption handshake will be a little faster than it has been. It's been very slow indeed today. I'm not sure why. Well, it continues to be very slow. Wonderful. I think a queue here would be a good thing, or at least just have it pop up a modal saying please, like connecting or something that doesn't allow you to interact until that goes away. Yeah, that might not be a terrible idea. We can do that and then get rid of the debug log for encryption handshake complete. Man, this is going to take a long time. Huh. Why is that so slow? Okay. What went wrong there? Nothing from the server side. We successfully authenticated. I guess we never received that packet? Well, let's go ahead and turn on the modal window from the get-go here. And we're going to change it from this is a content to... Actually, you know what? We're going to do this in code. We're going to hop into channel MMO here, and we're going to go into the net manager. And we are, when we initiate this, way at the beginning, even before we enter the thread, we are going to say UI manager dot show, no, UI manager. Do we not? Oh yeah, it's under managers now. Managers.UI manager.show modal, and we are going to show the modal connecting to server, ... and we do want a spinner, so true. And then once we receive our encryption handshake, we're going to no longer debug log encryption handshake complete. We're no longer going to debug log that message either. We are instead going to say add job, and that is going to be, not packages, that is going to be something like this. Managers.UI manager.hide modal. Okay. So now it should automatically pop up a modal saying that it's attempting to connect. And we'll run the server again and see if we completely broke it. We shouldn't have completely broken it. I think we just lost the packet somehow. So yeah, this will make it so that we can't accidentally log in before it's ready. I mean, realistically, this should not take this long, right? This is a problem with the mono backend, as far as I can tell, that Unity kind of inherited. Okay, there we go. Still submitting information. Okay, so clearly we did break something. We're successfully authenticating on the server side, but not on the client side. So the question is, why are we not authenticating on the client side? So when we process an ATH message here, database is locked. Yeah, that's because we currently have it open. Actually, you know what? That's probably what the problem was. The problem was that we had the database open in the Explorer. Okay, let's try this again. I don't think I messed up any code there. So we're connecting to server. We could also add a timeout here. But for now, we know that the server is going to be up. There we go. That's more like it. So we're going to create a new character, and we're just going to choose something at random. It really doesn't matter. We'll choose this head. We'll choose this face. And we'll choose, how about this hair? Oh yeah, we need a character name. That would help. There we go. So here's our character name. So we're going to go ahead and hop over to the DB browser. No, not Blitz. To the DB browser. And we are going to check in here. Let's see. I like how by choosing at random... Did I really choose strong masculine? Hang on. Let's try creating another new character. Actually, these are all still the same. I did choose strong masculine. Okay, fair enough. That appears to be correct. Okay, wonderful. So we can call that good to go. Can get rid of that, can get rid of that, and we will pull open our to-dos again. We got a couple of those scratched off the list. Fantastic. So that is now done. Okay. Let's see here. Anything else? Switching RSA libraries. Yeah, I wish. I wish. This is something that is going to become pretty high priority pretty soon, I think. And realistically, because we have it wrapped in such a way in the encryption manager, it shouldn't be too bad in theory to switch that over. We don't need these using statements. Can get rid of those. Excellent. What else do we have here? General code organization. Yeah, that's a thing. I'll put that down there because that's going to kind of always be there. Capitalization, consistency, same thing. Character slot limit on character creation. We don't really support character slots right now, and I mean, we probably will eventually, but right now I'm not too concerned about that. Trailing parentheses in chat. Yeah, these known issues are actually out of scope of this episode, because this is a maintenance episode, not a bug fix episode. Bug fixes will be happening on Saturdays and maintenance on Sundays. Just to give me kind of a quasi-weekend off without having to do large preparation work. Okay, so what else are we going to do here? I'd like to do at least one more thing today. No click and drag. I don't hate the click and drag now that I've thought about it a little bit. I think I'm going to get rid of that. I think it's fine. Let's see here. Anything else? Graceful failure on client server. I don't want that to happen yet. I want them to still just be like, no, this is going terribly wrong, so that I know that it's going terribly wrong. Forbidden character names, that's fine. A color selector UI is a bit of a project. Yeah, that's to be sure. Logging out would be doable. We'd have to do a new comms enum. LGT. Logout message. And that's just going to be a simple header. And that would log out to the character select. Or would that... Yeah, that would log out to the character select. If we want a full disconnect, then we would send a DSC. And what does the server do when it receives a DSC? Let's double check that quick. The server responds with a DSC of its own and removes it, and it does basically the same thing that we do over here. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, we support that. Although we don't really have a way to do that from the character select screen, right? So we should probably put that in. The logout button here does exist, but it's an on-click placeholder. So let's go into the character select screen, and we'll edit that script. And we will do public void on press logout button. And from there, we would do something along the lines of, what do we have access to here? We don't have regular managers. Public managers. We'll just get that updated. And then we'll have to do managers dot for each of these manager calls that we have here. That's fine. And then on press logout button, we would do managers.netManager. Actually, we're not quite done with these. There's a couple more manager calls up here. Do that quick. There we go. Managers.netManager.send logout message. And then from there, we would go ahead and go back to the login screen, right? So managers.uimanager.loginscreen.setGameObject .setActive true. And then we would say this.GameObject.setActive false. Okay, now of course NetManager doesn't have a send logout message. Let's go ahead and implement that. So this would be public async void send logout message. So all we would do is we would say date time equals server time. If simulate latency is greater than 0, await task.delay, simulate latency divided by 2. And then client.send message types.dsc, and then server time. Excellent. So that'll get us fully logged out. And then we need to be able to log out characters as well. So we've already implemented a new comms type in the comms enums. Let's do the same in the server. So in here, we need to go into our comms enums, and we need to do an LGT logout message. This, of course, is just a header. And that's for logging out the character. So when we receive an LGT message, then we need to do something along the lines of this. Case message types .lgt. It's an LGT message requesting character logout. So that's, of course, the difference between a logout and a disconnect, right? So essentially, when we request a character logout, we need to reset the character back to the position it was at before it entered the world, or rather the client session there. So we need to unsubscribe it from the chat's servers. So we'll do chat server.world.remove session, and we'll pass in client session. We'll do chat server.lfg.remove session, client session. We'll do chat server.trade.remove session, client session. There we go. And we're also going to need to set client session logged in character equal to, I believe that defaults to an empty string. Null, actually. That defaults to null. Okay. We're going to need to say, we're going to need to destroy the client session.entity, and if their instance is empty, it should be deleted. We already have a check in the instance to determine if it's empty or not. So we will say client session.instance.remove client session.entity, and then client session.instance equals null, and then client session dot entity equals null. Okay, so that should reset it back. In theory, it'll still be authenticated, but it won't be on a character. Of course, we're going to have to head into instance and implement that remove. And let's see here, where is that? That is the constructor. That's the get state update. Insert command into past and tick. Where's the add that we call down here? New instance.entities.add. Okay, instance.entities.remove. There we go. Okay, so that should reset it back when we receive an LGT message. Wonderful. And that should be only client initiated, right? For now, but we'll support an LGT message receipt here as well. So if we receive an LGT message, and actually we should maybe just send one back as an acknowledgement. So just send message types .lgt, and then this would be to client session .address. So we'll just send that back as an acknowledgement. And then when the client receives an LGT message, then we should, at that point, case message types .lgt LGT message. This character has been logged out. So all we'll need to do here is add job. Essentially, we just need to reset this back, right? So what all do we do when we get logged in right now? Well, we need to definitely get rid of any entities that currently exist. Let's see, this is going to be a CEW message that we're interested in for what we do when we enter the world. Except, or no, it's a CER. So not CMR, CER. This one. Basically, all we do is this. So let's just call managers.representationmanager.reset. That doesn't exist yet. And then we are going to say managers.uimanager.gameUI.gameObject.setActive false. And then managers.uimanager.characterSelectScreen.gameObject.setActive true. Okay. And then the representation manager.reset, let's go ahead and implement that quickly. So, public void reset. We're going to need to do something along the lines of for each key value pair string entity in entities, we are going to simply, this will be interesting, trying to get rid of all these. Actually, they're all children of the representation manager, right? So for each transform T in transform, because we don't by default have any children, right? So they're children of the representation manager, if I recall correctly. So when we spawn in these entities, that spawns in this .transform. Yes. So this will work fine. Destroy t.gameObject. Wonderful. And then we'll just do entities.clear. That should reset it back. Wonderful. Now, let's open up the chat box here. And that should be under UI, Game UI chat box. And let's support another command here. Case logout. Okay, so this will be something along the lines of, this will actually be a return here. So this will then be, all we need to do is managers dot, or actually game UI is the way we do this. Game UI dot managers, I guess we'll go net manager, dot send log out message. And that should just make everything happen. In theory. In theory. Okay, is anything broken here? No. Is anything broken in the server? No. Okay, so let's test these, shall we? I'm going to go ahead and turn off the latency simulation, because that's annoying. And we're also going to turn off the character select screen for right now. Oh, we need to make sure that the logout button is set to character select screen dot on press logout button. Okay, let's see if this works. This encryption handshake takes way too long. There's no doubt about that. Hello, null reference exception. On character select screen. Right. Because we never set the character select screen to know what the managers are. I knew I was forgetting something. Fire up the server again, and we'll fire up the client again, and we'll wait for the painfully long encryption handshake again. This is definitely painfully long. There we go. Excellent. We'll log out. We've been disconnected from the server. Client thread ended. That's interesting. Okay. I suppose that would end the client thread. And really it should. So when we receive a DSC on the client side, right over here. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to put this into known issues. When you log out of the client, actually when you disconnect in the client, it requires a restart to reconnect. That's fine for now. That's kind of in the same category of graceful failure that we want to have happening right now. But now we know that that logout button does indeed work, and it disconnects us properly from the server, including ending the client thread. I really wish this encryption handshake happened a little faster. If it did, we would not have this happen immediately on launch, and we would instead have it happen when we hit the login button. We would start up a new thread, and that would fix that issue. So that's kind of the plan of how we're going to fix that, right? So we'll go ahead and log into ASDF, and we'll move around a little bit. It's a little jittery at the beginning, but again, that's probably due to a couple of relatively minor calculations that we can definitely fix. And now we're going to try /logout. We've been disconnected from the server. Why did that send a DSC message? That should have sent an LGT message. Okay, let's check in here. When we go into the chat box, it sends a logout message, and then the net manager send logout message. Oh, that sent a DSC. I want that to be an LGT. Excellent. And we'll pass time rather than server time. There we go. Okay, and then when we actually hit the logout button, that just sends a DSC message. Correct? No, actually. We need this to be send disconnect message. So we're just going to copy this here, and we're going to put in another version of it here, and this is just going to be DSC, and this is going to be send disconnect message. There. Now it should work as expected. Because I wasn't differentiating between those, and that makes perfect sense why it behaved the way it did. So we'll connect to this server, and eventually the encryption handshake will finish. We're still working on it. There we go. And we'll log in, and we'll enter the world, and off we go. We'll run around a little bit. You know what? I don't really feel like doing this. Let's log out. Okay. Instance was null. This is in Game Manager. So we did successfully log back out here. And then if we try to enter this world, of course, it's not going to do anything because the server crashed. Now, why did the server crash when we logged out here? It was trying to send a game state update to a null instance. Subscribed sessions needs to be removed. And that's in Game Manager? Yeah, that's in Game Manager there. So that creates that instance. How do we get subscribed here? Right here. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and do a public static void logout session. Okay, and then we'll just say something along the lines of nope. This will need to take in session. Nope. Session dot subscribe to updates equals false. Subscribed sessions dot remove session. Okay, and now we'll call that here when we're doing all of these other things. And we might want to move this into a method a little bit later on, but we'll do game manager dot log out session, and then that would be client session. Okay, we'll give this one more go, and now it shouldn't crash the server when we log out, and we may even be able to change characters. Wouldn't that be something? Not bad for a maintenance day. Realistically, we got quite a few nice changes done today. I'm reasonably happy with this, assuming that this works out. I'm quite happy with that, in fact. Okay. Let's go ahead and log in. And we logged in. Oh boy, this is the wrong character. We need to log out. And now let's log in to ASDFA. Excellent. Now this is a very small bug here. We can fix that very easily. But the logging in and out actually worked flawlessly. So let's just go ahead and fix that small bug with the chat box here. The reason that happened is because we didn't call onEnd chat input, and we actually leave that there. We'll just do onEnd chat input right there. Glorious. And with that, that is logging out now supported. Note that that does not really support disconnection. Disconnection is quasi-supported. And that's, again, disgraceful failure on client server. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. And next episode, I think... What are we going to work on? I don't know. Next episode will be a mystery. We will figure that out in the next episode. Until then, you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.